Well, it turned out that a tax lien had been filed against me. And the IRS agent indicated that the tax lien would not have been filed had he known that on this particular date, I think it was January the 15th, I had made a payment. He and I had had an understanding that on that date I would make a $10,000 payment on taxes. And on that date I did not have the $10,000. So I called Mr. Page, Albert Page at IRS here, and told him that I didn't have the $10,000, I had $5,000. If he would accept the $5,000, I'd send him the remainder by the end of the month. And he said, okay. And I sent our law clerk, Michael Choi, down to Mr. Page's office with the $5,000 check, and he gave the check to Mr. Page. Mr. Page gave us a receipt. Well, 2 years later, when this issue came up, Mr. Page indicated to the FBI that he filed a lien because I didn't make the payment. And the copies of the IRS records reflected that for that date, January 15, the only notation on the copy was tax lien filed. And so the accusation was that I had lied about the lien. Mr. Page, having indicated that had I contacted him that day, he would not have filed the lien. Well, when a name went up to the Senate from the White House, Senator Howard Heflin, prior to the confirmation hearing, had the FBI to investigate it. And the FBI went and retrieved the original records. And what they saw was that there had been an erasure. The initial entry of Mr. Page had been in pencil, and he had erased it. They were not able to completely reconstruct the initial entry, but they were able to reconstruct the first few words. And the first few words were, Mr. Clemon called and said. And that entire entry had been erased, and written over it was tax lien filed. And the effect of that was to show that it wasn't I who had lied, it was the IRS agent. And after that revelation, the Senate Judiciary Committee unanimously confirmed me. Senator Strong, Thurman, and Orrin Hatch voted for me, and I was unanimously confirmed by the full Senate.
Some attorneys who argued before you have told me that you are strict. What would you say is your judicial philosophy?
Well, I'm a liberal judge. In terms of the rules, I insist on adherence to the rules because I think you run into trouble when you don't insist on adherence to the rule. And so to the extent that I require lawyers to make their statements, opening statements, for example, in 5 or 10 minutes, I expect them to do it. When an objection is made, I rule on the objection in accordance with the law. And I don't take a lot of time hearing argument on the objection. And so to the extent that those kinds of approaches are deemed to be strict, then so be it. I make no apology for it.
What are your plans for retirement?
I'll go back into practice of law. I'm going to go with the firm of White Arnold Dow. They do corporate defense, some plaintiff work, some white collar work, and I'll be doing all of that.
Well, thank you again for coming today and giving us some of your time.
Thank you. It was a privilege to be here.
Thank you, sir.